Sorry, he drains kippers on the washing line. Who does that? That is... Oh, hello. Welcome to Lost in the Pond. I've noticed recently that we've been getting a lot of new followers. And a lot of you have been coming from the UK. So I thought, well, what better way to introduce you to my channel and what I'm all about than to tell you 5 reasons why it's great being a British person living in America. So, you know, whatever you might think politically about America right now, this is not that. I'm not covering any of that. I'm just talking about things that I think have sort of benefited me as a person living in America for the last 8/9 years. And they, in no particular order, actually the order is very particular, they are these, starting with this one, number 5. That's right. People just automatically like you. There's a deep fascination with British heritage, British history, and of course the British accent over here. To where, you know, when you use it, I think that you've all automatically got an in. So you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. You turn up and be exactly what you are, and that is, you know, something that is admired here. It still feels weird to me. I mean, they treat me like I'm Prince William at times, even though I'm not. I'm Prince William's cousin. That's a joke, but I have told some people that it is true. Now, I should say I am generalizing here. I mean, there are Americans out there that couldn't give 2 hoots that I'm British or whatnot, and that's fine, you know. But of course, there are practical reasons why it's great living in the United States, and that brings me on to point number 2. Now, don't get me wrong, I am all for learning a new language. In fact, the truth is, you kind of have to when you move to America because there are so many different nuances. You know, so it is more than just the difference between the spelling of colour that you have to endure. You'll find, actually, there are so many word differences, spelling differences, pronunciation differences with which you were not previously familiar. I came to learn those. I'm still learning them. There's new ones crop up all the time. But that said, it is still a form of English that you are moving into. And so you can absolutely very easily hold a conversation with somebody straight away. There's no learning curve. Now, again, I'm all for learning a new language. That's a different thing. If I moved to France, I would want to learn French and go through that. But that challenge, if you don't want it, America is a great place to go. It's particularly interesting because, as I said previously, while they're gawking at your accent, a lot of the time they are left mystified, Americans, by something you've just said. It would be a lie to say there aren't any kind of lost in translation moments. They do exist. But whether or not you are displaying words that are unintelligible to the American ear, you will still be thought of as the following. I've hoodwinked an entire nation into thinking that I'm a very smart man, just by virtue of the way I speak. You know, there is this belief, and people have said it to me many a time, you sound so intelligent, or I've made this assumption that you're well-read, you're learned, you know, and once they find out the truth, this show is over. It's done. And so it kind of, again, elevates you to this level that you probably wouldn't have been elevated to back in England. You know, people don't think you have these super cerebral powers like they do here. So, you know, the pressure's on to prove that you are smart. That said, I think I've almost become more intelligent since moving here, or at least more curious about a lot of things. So history has become a big part of my day-to-day hobbies. In fact, when I look back at the UK now, I look at it with almost through American eyes, with this kind of curiosity that I never previously had. I always took the history of Britain for granted. And now that I look back at it with pride, I think. So just as the perception around your intelligence gets elevated because of your accent, so do your jokes, right? You could tell the worst joke in the world, like the Doctor Who one. Knock, knock, who's there? Doctor Who, you just said it. Ha, 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 hilarious. But if you say that with a British accent and perhaps, you know, a furrowed brow, then you're going to get giggles beyond every measure that you can even imagine. It's kind of nice, you know, it's a nice icebreaker at parties. You go to a party, people think you're really intelligent, and they also, yes, think you're hilarious. Just be careful with that, though, because some of the shit jokes don't work. For instance, why was the beach wet? Because the seaweed, Americans don't really use the term weed as in to take a piss. This is getting really gross. I'm not really sure why. But whenever you say anything, you have another get out clause, and that is this. If I do something really stupid that I'm very ashamed or embarrassed of, I can excuse it by saying, it's just a British thing. You know, we do this all the time back home. When I entered the library in downtown Chicago stark naked, that's the excuse I gave then. The police were having none of it, sadly, and Chicago police are quite rough. So it was 3 days until I got out of jail. But of course, this is genuinely true when it comes to making mushy peas or all manner of British cuisine that Americans sort of usually find quite abhorrent. Although I have met some Americans that are rather in favour of, British food. But either way, you can explain that away by saying it's a British thing. Don't hold it against me. Don't judge. You know, if you find yourself apologising to a cash machine or putting tea on your sandwiches, you can still explain it away, and that is a very nice get out. And those are my 5 silly reasons that it is great being a British person living in America. If you haven't checked it out already, and I will link to it at the end of this video, I did do a video on 6 reasons just in general that it's great living in America, and that's for anybody of any nationality. That's all for this episode. Cheerio. Bye. See ya.